It is 6:56, and I'm very excited because I have sitting in the green room a young man who has accomplished a great deal and has earned the attention of his peers and, in fact, the administration. He's a teacher in Northeastern Pennsylvania, Michael Soskel, and he's going to receive the Presidential Award for Excellence in Math and Science Teaching, sort of like the Nobel Prize in Math and Science Teaching. And he's here in the studio, and I want to introduce you to him and get a little bit about what he does. He now consults, as I understand it, with teachers all over the area on math and science teaching. And we've got the privilege of having him here in the studio. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
The David Madeira Show on 94.3 FM, The Talker.
Welcome back, folks. It's 7:07 on the David Madeira Show, and the skies are, well, they're cloudy, and a chance of snow showers later this morning, becoming mostly sunny this afternoon, with the temperature continuing to drop all the way down tonight to 14. It was 37, so that's a 20. I've got a math teacher here now. I'm a little intimidated. 23-degree drop, folks. We have in the studio Michael Soskel. He's a teacher, but he's much more than a teacher. He is now going to be receiving the Presidential Award for Excellence in Math and Science Teaching, or PAMST, as it's known in the common vernacular. I think I've heard it described as sort of the Nobel Prize of Math and Science Teaching. He's here in the studio. Michael, thank you so much for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me, David.
Let's talk a little bit about the process that you went through to receive this award first, and then what exactly this award means both to you and also to the broader community. You knew about this for some time, at least that it was possible, right?
Yeah, actually, the process started about 2 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, and I knew I was a state finalist about a year and a half ago. One of 3 state finalists in Pennsylvania, and I knew one of the 3 of us would probably end up winning.
So there's one from each state?
There's 1 math and 1 science teacher from each state per year.
And you got both?
I'm the math.
Oh, okay.
I'm the math recipient from
You don't want to be a hog. So you got a notification. You got what? I mean, how did that process work that you knew?
Well, about a year and a half ago, like I said, I found that I was a state finalist, and that came to me via email from the Department of Education in Pennsylvania. And for about a year and a half, there was just a lot of waiting. The National Science Foundation chooses the winners each year, and
so this is chosen not by the White House but by your peers.
It's actually chosen by a panel of some of them are teachers, some of them are university professors. There's scientists, people from NASA, National Science Foundation.
And what do they look at?
Well, the application process, I had to put together a 45-minute video of myself teaching. There were letters of recommendation, my resume. I had a 15-page paper that referred to the video of me teaching that I had to write, along with about 10 pages of supplementary materials.
Wow.
So, yeah, the application process was pretty grueling.
Mm-hmm.
But I loved it because it allowed me to really reflect on my own teaching and look at what I do well and what I needed to improve on. And, regardless of whether I had won or not, I really enjoyed the process and that growth as a teacher.
And you enjoy teaching. You do.
I love it.
You've been teaching for how many years now?
17.
Wow. Okay, you just don't look old enough to have been teaching 17
well,
years.
Thank you. I appreciate
Or did you
that.
start at 7?
I started right after I had graduated from the University of Scranton. I taught in Arizona at a charter school for a year.
Oh, okay.
And then moved back home. And
where do you teach now?
I'm at Wallenpaupack. And
Okay.
a fantastic school district. And I can honestly say that without the culture of learning and collaboration that we have there at Wallenpaupack, I don't think this would have been possible.
Really?
Yeah.
Great. So now you also have a blog, I noticed, teacherslifeforme.blogspot.com, and you subtitle it. I always look at the subtitle. I think that's always a very interesting reflection. Ponderings on Education, Thinking Up Me Earties Yo-Ho. What does it mean?
Yeah, well, I'm a big Disney fan also. So it's a reference to the Pirates of the Caribbean ride.
Oh, okay.
And, Pirates Life for Me, Think Up.
Yes.
So
Okay.
that's a little homage to Disney.
Very good, very good. And why do you keep a blog? I mean, you're a math teacher. Why do you have a blog?
Yeah, I think it's real important nowadays for teachers to have a voice and to speak about what's important, especially in this culture of standardization that we have. Personally, I think that's really hindering teachers and hindering learning. I think that every child is individual, and we need to reach each child on that level. And I think that teachers need to speak about what they do well, to be honest. Like I said during the process of applying the self-reflection process, to go through that and to share that with others, so that we can all grow as professionals. And my blog is my voice in that respect.
So your blog isn't written to math and science teachers. You're talking to the broader community?
Yeah, certainly there are times if I have a great lesson or a lesson that bombs, I'll certainly write about that so that other math and science teachers can learn about that. But also, I like to write about education, the educational system as a whole. On a broader scale, sometimes things will be individual and personal, but pretty much if I have an idea about education that I feel strongly about, that's what I write about.
Yeah, you mentioned, and I noticed that you have an article in here about that concept of standardization.
Yeah.
Specifically Common Core State Standards Initiative. And I'm interested in that because I've got 6 children, so we're going through the education process, one in college, one graduating from high school, one getting ready to graduate, and then two just coming into the education system. When you talk about individualization, you remind me a lot of my wife. She talks frequently about the need to understand what each child learns, and how each child learns.
Absolutely.
And then addressing that to them. What are some of the ways that you do that, and did that play into this award?
Yeah, I strongly believe that we need to look at how each child learns and what their interests and passions are to be able to reach them. We know from brain science that kids can't retain, or anybody can't retain information unless there's an emotional connection with what they're learning. And too often when we teach out of textbooks, or we standardize lessons, things are taught out of context. And so kids can, we all know when we take tests, sometimes, a week later, you don't remember what you had tested on.
Is this why, as an adult, I find it easier to learn about history than as a child? Because now it matters a little more. I have more context, and I see the changes in my history. We were talking about the changes in science and technology in our lifetime. And I look back at history now, and I find it much more fascinating.
Sure. I think, especially with the type of radio show you do, it's much more relevant to you now. And so you have that emotional connection. It makes sense in context for you, and so you're able to retain that information. And when we look at how we teach kids, they need to have that emotional connection too, and that comes from one of two places. Either it comes from the lesson that you're teaching them and the learning they're doing being very relevant to them, where they need it and they understand that, or it comes from it being extremely interesting. But too often...
So how do you make an emotional connection to subtraction?
That's a fantastic question, and I think that goes back to one of the reasons why I won the award, and my own philosophy of how to teach, math especially, is that when we present problems to kids, I like to think of it as like a 3-act play, kind of. You start with something that is like the hook. It's great. It's really interesting and relevant. It can be a picture or a video of something that you found in real life. I like to have, I've got an iPhone in my pocket, and if I see something that in my life that has mathematical context, I snap a picture of it. And so we start with that, and you put it up there, and it might be... one of the bloggers that I follow, Dan Meyer, the kind of iconic picture to demonstrate this is, when he's teaching high school math, it's a picture of a basketball. Guy shooting a basketball, and the basketball, you can see the arc, but it's suspended in midair, and you can see the path of where the ball went. And if you put up that question, that picture, every kid in the class is going to ask the question, well, is the ball going to go in? Right, it's going to go in. Right, and so that's how he introduces parabolas to his class. Because now they've got the hook.
That you could actually figure out whether or not it's going to go in.
Sure.
If you understand
the math, right. So now the kids have the emotional connection with what they need to learn.
Because they're playing ball. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I like to start with either a video or a picture or some kind of problem that has relevance like that. So that would be Act 1. Act 2 would be the actual math being done. So the kids would explore the concepts that, maybe it's subtraction. I did a great video for first graders a couple years ago with my kids, and it was all about who could eat more cookies, my 7-year-old son or me. And we had so we had short little videos.
As long as they're chocolate chip cookies, I'm making the emotional connection, right?
And they were. My wife made them, and they were fantastic. But we had short little snippets of 15 or 20 seconds of us arguing who could eat more cookies, and of course kids want to know, is my 7-year-old son going to be able to eat more than me being this big guy, and so we'd use that as the hook for first graders. So there's your subtraction hook. But then Act 2 would be the math, and then Act 3, of course, is the reveal. Where they find out, did the ball actually go in the basket? Who actually ate more cookies? And that gives them the confidence when they're done to be able to retain that information and go forward with it.
Folks, it's Mike Soskel. He's receiving the Presidential Award for Excellence in Math. Now, they say math and science, but you're actually getting it in math.
Yeah, I'm the math.
The math of that math and science. Very exciting. So what happens going forward now? What is this? You have a process. You go receive the award at some point?
Sometime in the next couple weeks or month. Like I said, I've waited a year and a half, so I'm not sure exactly when it's going to be. But now that I know that I'm going to be the recipient, the wait's a little easier. But sometime soon, I'll be traveling down to Washington, D.C. For 3 days of professional development with the National Science Foundation. That'll include a photo shoot with the president, which is kind of neat. And there'll be an award banquet where I'll receive the award, probably from the Secretary of Education.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that after that happens, you'll come back, you'll share your pictures, and tell us more stories. Folks, the blog is teacherslifeforme.blogspot.com. I will post a link to this, of course, on our daily email. You can go to the dms.us and sign up and get our daily email. Michael Soskel, a math teacher in Northeastern Pennsylvania, who is, again, the recipient of the Presidential Award for Excellence in Math Teaching. And I really appreciate you coming into the studio. And I know your community appreciates the hard work you do. What's next for you?
Oh, thank you. Actually, there's two really cool things that I'm involved in right now. One of them is called Ed Camp Northeastern Pennsylvania. Ed Camps are unconferences where teachers get together on a Saturday. They're totally free. So, no fee for teachers, no fee for districts.
Did you just say unconferences?
It's an unconference. And so that concept, it's really cool. Teachers get together, and basically there's a session board that's put up for the first hour. So between 8 and 9 or 8:30 and 9:30, there's just a blank whiteboard that lists the rooms that are available and times on them. And teachers can write in what it is they want to learn more about, and then anyone that's interested shows up in that room. And so it's relevant professional development. It's exactly what we need as teachers.
So create your own conference.
Absolutely. Create your own professional development. And I'm very, from just talking, you can probably tell I'm into growth as teachers. I want to see us, you can always learn something new. And we need to be lifelong learners to be able to model that for our students. And so I think unconferences and ed camps in particular are a great way to do that. So me, along with 5 or 6 other teachers in the area, are putting this on at the University of Scranton on May 10th. We're organizing an ed camp. So.
All right, excellent. Yeah. And then how does this kind of award change your career? Do you continue to teach, or do you want to do something else?
I love teaching. I have my administrative.
It's like me with radio. You're not pulling this mic out of my hands.
Right. Yeah. It's great, and it's one of the things that I want to teach my kids is to do what you love. And for me, I have an administrative certification. I could, be a principal if I wanted to, but I love teaching.
Be in the class.
Yeah, I love teaching, and whether it's teaching grad classes that I do to other teachers, or teaching 5th grade students, being in elementary school, I just love teaching. And
excellent. Well, it shows. Thank you, Michael, so much for coming in, folks.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Don't go. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back.
You're listening to the David Madeira Show on 94.3 FM, The Talker.
A Teacher's Life for Me.blogspot.com. I should have caught that from the tagline, but really very interesting having Michael Soskel in the studio to talk about his being a recipient of the Presidential Award for Excellence in Math and Science Teaching, and you could definitely feel the excitement, the energy that Michael brings to teaching. And I love how he has a philosophy of teaching. He's got a whole approach to making it relevant and interesting. It sounds like a great teacher, and I'm really delighted to have him here in the studio. He says he's passionate about math that isn't calculation, assessment that isn't grading, problem-based learning, and improving education. Again, his blog, teacherslifeforme.blogspot.com. I think an important voice here in Northeastern Pennsylvania, an educator who is not interested in becoming an administrator, qualified to do so, but really wants to stay with the kids and teach them. And I think he's got a lot to tell us. I've been looking through his blog here, and he's got a lot of interesting stuff that I think you would find worthwhile. He's got an article here back in October on college and career ready is the wrong goal. And I think looks like a good article. He's talking about the whole concept of Common Core. They say we want our kids to be college and career ready. and he makes an argument that that's not really focusing on the right goal. He said in fact the goal almost ensures that less students are prepared for college and careers because of the way it's being executed. A very interesting guy, and we'll look forward to having him back in the studio. I always enjoy. It's a great opportunity to meet new people and introduce you to them as the days go by and we read stuff in the news. Sometimes we'll see a story in the news and we'll think, I'd like to know more about that or that person or that, have a better understanding of that. And of course, the radio gives me a great opportunity to do that. And I'd love to have, if you've got a suggestion for somebody that you think I ought to bring on the show or talk to, I'd be happy to take your emails. David at thedavidmadeirashow.com, or you can go to the dms.us and you can hook up with me there, or go to Facebook and connect with me on either the Talkers Facebook page or my show Facebook page.